hit record.
Yeah. All right. What's up, guys? This is a new endeavor for Leafs Nation, which no one's ever done before, i.e. like 17 million people have done this 17 million different ways. But my name is Gaush. This is Raza. We decided to, start a different version of these many reaction videos and podcasts. So what we'd like to do, and I'm going to swing this over to Raza. This is actually his brainchild. I'm just a random guy he found on Twitter for one fantasy league, and we became friends, much like the other 300 random strangers I have. I'm very popular on Twitter. The 300 followers I have on Twitter, this is the friendship that we've grown over the last 7 days in fantasy hockey league. I'm kidding, but we did meet there, and I think Leafs Nation will tell you some of your strongest friendships are on Twitter, and then those will be tested by really bad games. And when you lose your mind, you need someone else there to be like, calm down, man. It was just one pass. But I'm going to let Raza kind of talk you guys through what our format's going to be like, and then we'll jump right into the playoffs because I cannot wait.
All right, what's up, everybody? Raza here. So, like I said, we've got a pretty cool idea that we think you guys are going to like. We're hopeful that it gives people a new opportunity to engage with each other, engage with this team, and really just have an outlet to kind of talk about the game that isn't really being done right now, at least from what we've seen. So the way that we're thinking it's going to work is after each game, we're going to kind of pop on Zoom here and let people kind of hop in with us and give us their thoughts on the game. We're hoping to get people from all parts of this fan base. I think that we get on Twitter, there's our favorite baghead crew that, give us quite a bit of hot takes on a daily basis. And then we've got a huge part of this fan base that has differing opinions on specific players, specific lines. We want everybody to kind of have an outlet to share with everybody else how they're feeling so that we can kind of all connect more as a fan base and have people we can relate to. So we're going to have people hop in here with us after the game when emotions are high and just kind of give us their takes and let us know what they're thinking from game to game. We all love Leafs-related content. I know I sit down right after a game, watch the highlights, and then go on YouTube and look for other people talking about the game. So why not just bring more of us on here and have some conversation? So we're excited about it. I know that Gaush has some great ideas, and we're excited to kind of get started on this, especially right now on this playoff run where it's probably the best team I've ever seen in my life. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is an amazing team. I just want to also add that you guys are free to rant. Like, this is realistically gonna just really devolve into expletive ridden rants, that rival something out of a Deadpool movie, which I love. This is gonna be fun. And I do admit this is probably one of the best Leafs teams I've seen in my lifetime. At least in 15 years, for sure. The last team that I really liked was the 04-05 team or the 01-02 team. Well, the Packlin era teams were like I have a soft spot for them. Dead Puck era or not.
Yeah,
Matson Dean led.
That's where I became a fan of this team, man. Like, I think that I was like 7 in 2001, I think, and I just started watching hockey, and I was like watching Sundin just cycle the puck by himself. He's like one-man cycle against a whole team. I think that's what made me fall in love with the game, what made me fall in love with the team. And I think we've gone through some pain, and we've gone through some like real tough years where we kind of convinced ourselves this team was way better than it was. But I think for real this time, I think we've got one of the best teams in the league, and I'm excited. I genuinely feel like we can go up against anyone in a 7-game series. So hopefully we get a long run in here, and we can talk with a bunch of this fan base and get their thoughts and just have a good time.
Of course, I found the only guy on the internet that can make me feel old by saying he was that young when he watched Sundin. I mean, my first real memories were like the Gretzky high stick on Gilmore. Like, just it's absolute bullshit. But that's like literally my first memory. And so I think I was born for this heartbreak. I don't think I've been searching for a lot of anxiety and depressing pills just based off of this. The Leafs have been the bane of my existence, and I love them. But yeah, hockey, Montreal.
Man, I'm excited, dude. I feel like this is the perfect first round matchup for us. I think, for years everyone's been saying we can't handle a tough team, we can't handle a physical team, and this and that. And I think that the additions that we've made this offseason, I'm really excited about how we match up with Montreal. Obviously the regular season isn't going to matter now, but I think that we played them really well this year, and I think that they think that they're way better than they are. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And we'll go through the lines and stuff in a little bit, but I'm excited to kind of, more than any other fan base, I think outside of maybe Boston, I think that I'm just really excited to shut Habs fans down because they've been talking a lot this year.
Yeah, I mean the infamous juggernaut.
Yeah.
Statement.
The very first juggernaut of this season, right away, 5-10 games in, Montreal.
I mean the fact that they pine over Josh Anderson like he's the love child of Eric Lindros and Wayne Gretzky, like for fuck's sakes.
Jason Spezza outscored this guy, like not even by a little bit, like by a considerable amount. So I don't even and he's making league minimum on the fourth line. I don't want to hear it about.
I mean, okay, here's the thing, like money aside, because and everyone wants to bring these conversations and these comparisons up. Everyone brings up 40 million to 4 players. Like, you guys are ridiculous. The Leafs, there's no team built like that. Well, you know what? We don't give a shit. Go fuck yourself. Why wouldn't you pay this type of talent that money? Okay, I'm sorry, you wanted to pay Carey Price after his peak,
yep.
$10.5 million, but we're wrong for wanting to pay Austin Matthews pre-peak.
Yep. Yeah, that's the craziest part to me, bro, is that Austin Matthews is not even close to being the best he's going to be.
No, he's not. It is frightening, but also it was frightening the very first game when he threw up four goals and dummied Erik Karlsson, who was still in his prime, right? So I mean, it is what it is. It's just hey, we all have this kind of complex where we think anything that can go wrong, we are Murphy's Law's team. So I had this underlying fear at all times that something is going to go wrong and we're just going to go off that infamous cliff. So I completely get the fear that resides in Leafs fans. And I'm kind of part of that older generation as well as the younger one, where the older one has been hurt so much that they have no way of telling themselves they can be optimistic. And the younger one, not you, but a little younger than you, have seen some success and don't realize how bad it gets. And think this was the worst, the Kessler years were the worst. And it was bad. And so it's, I don't know, God damn Montreal! Just honestly, this team has to. We all want to be if we were being honest, this is not a matchup. This isn't a matchup. The Leafs should absolutely just handle the Habs.
Yeah.
The only 2 ways I see this even being an extended series is one. Again, this every year that this goes, every year that passes, the probability of this decreases, but Carey Price becomes world beater Carey Price, which any goalie can do at any time, and Carey Price has shown that he has that in him. So that gear can change any series, right? It doesn't matter. One hot goalie can beat a good team.
Yep.
And then the second way is the refs put away the whistles.
Yeah.
It's the great equalizer in the playoffs, which make no sense to me. Regular season, you call it one way, you let teams succeed based off of one set of rules. You get into the playoffs and you're like, no, now I'm going to let it even up by letting Detroit Pistons beat up on Michael Jordan. This makes absolutely no sense.
And we're already seeing it, right? I think that what the first couple weeks of the first week of the postseason has shown us, because we get to sit out for the first week, so Calgary and Vancouver can play exhibition games, but that's a separate topic. I think that what that's shown us is that that's what the refs are doing. I think the good thing is Graham Skiller is not reffing our series, so thank God.
Is that the whole series? So he's in the Edmonton,
Winnipeg for the whole thing, yeah. So I think that's a big relief. But at the same time, I just feel like we've seen it time and time again, right? I think back to JVR taking that elbow in the nose and like literally leaking blood and no call. I think we've experienced it so much against the Bruins, and I think that we expect the Habs to play that way. And I think when we go through the lines, that it's very clear that they're trying to play that way, right? Like they've chosen.
See, the thing is, I know people are going with that narrative and they think like that they're sending that message if they want to play that way. I'm not convinced that Ducharme is just a dollar store Babcock and is just an asshole.
It very well could be, and I think that when we go through the lines, it makes sense and I think that's a very viable possibility, right? Like, and I think I don't know much about the Habs. I don't follow them very much, but from what I've seen throughout the season, he's chosen vets over young skilled players, right? And
yeah, dollar store Babcock. Like,
so it's that very well could be it, or he's going for a very defensive minded approach. Which will.
By the way, update: Winnipeg just scored in the most boring game of all time. But go on.
It's how they found a way to make the series with the best offensive player in the world just boring. But I mean, that's how Winnipeg's got to play, right? If they try to play run and gun with Edmonton, McDavid's going to burn them. So it makes sense to me that that's how they're trying to play. I think that's what Montreal's going to try to do with us. Like realistically, if they've taken talent and offensive ability out of their lineup to put veterans and defensive-minded players in there to try and shut us down. And I think from my experience and from at least watching hockey, I think that could go one of two ways. Either we're going to get a really boring series where they don't do anything and we still find a way to score a bunch of goals and it doesn't matter what they try to do, or every game will be close and we still find a way to win. I still don't see, despite them trying to play that way, I still don't see it working. I don't think they can hold it. Yeah, I feel like this team is just built to handle whatever style you want to play, kind of like Tampa, right? Like they can play any style you want to play. You want to play like a low-scoring, low-event game. We've seen the Leafs win low-scoring, low-event games this season, which is something we could never say in years past, right? You can win every single way. So I'll let you kind of finish up your thoughts on that, and then maybe we can go through the lines and
yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, I completely agree that I don't think that is going to work against this team just because they are able to play different ways, and all it takes is for one 30-second span where the Leafs put in two, and then all of a sudden Montreal's chasing, and then they lose all of that, right? Like, absolutely, the first shot on net cannot go in.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Like that Freddie Anderson thing that happened last year and like years past, like, okay, I'm gonna get this out of this way. Like I've thrown a lot of negativity towards the guy on Twitter. I love the guy for the first 3.5 years here. I thought that he was like our MVP for quite some time.
100%.
But we also have to admit that he's not that guy anymore. Let's not lie to ourselves. And at this point, like, there's no reason to take Campbell out unless he gets shelled 2 games in a row, like absolutely hammered. There's no reason to take him out. The only way now it's going to happen is with that back-to-back.
Yeah. And I think that it depends on how that back-to-back goes. I was watching TSN, and I think Mike Johnson said, if it's 2-1, I think you go with Campbell, even if it's a back, right?
I'm thinking that too. Like, realistically,
I think the only way Fred gets in is if it's 3-0.
3-0. Yeah. If it's 3-0, I take that risk. But even then, like, it's like introducing bad juju, right? Yeah, but whatever. Let's go through that lineup and look at that. The world beater Habs.
Okay. So you want to start with the Habs, and then we'll go through the Leafs after?
Yeah, let's. I mean, we got to go through the Globetrotters before we look at.
Yeah. All right. So John Lou tweeted that. So we've got their first line is Tatar, Danault, Gallagher, the infamous shutdown line.
There's a Toronto Star article called Danault as LK candidate.
Yeah, dude, Austin Matthews has almost a goal a game against the Habs this season. I don't know what I think this is what the Habs fans and their team maybe even think of this line. Austin didn't score for the first 3 games this season a goal, but he still had points. And then after that, in 6 games against them, I believe he has 7 goals in 6 games. So like, I don't know where this idea came from that Danault is like shut him down, or that like Austin can't score against this line, or what that is. Like, realistically, he was. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the stats in front of me right here. I can pull them up, but I'm pretty sure Austin still had like 2 or 3 assists in the first couple of games against the Habs this season, even when he wasn't scoring. And then he popped off for like 7 goals in 6 games.
Not a single team this year has shut down Austin Matthews. Mind you, is all of the Canadian teams. It's not like we saw 30 teams, but none of them shut down Austin Matthews.
So I think they're going to try to play a hard match with that line. I think they're going to try to chase that matchup. I think the good thing about us, I don't think we really have to chase any matchups. I think their second line, the only thing that I would chase is maybe put Muzzin and Hull out against the Suzuki line. Other than that, though, I don't think we need to chase any matchups. Like I wouldn't even like try to match a forward line against them. So the second line is Toffoli, Suzuki, Armia. I'm assuming that's where most of their offense is coming from. So I think if we even like if we try to get Muzzin and Hull out there, I don't even think we need to try and set out a shutdown line against
guys. We do have to take a second to give Toffoli his due. Like my God, Vancouver, what the fuck? Like what was that? Like seriously?
And the quotes that came out that he wanted to stay too, man. Like that's just so damning, and I don't even know where to begin on that. Like, I think the Habs, like, you know.
I mean, I think in the off season we should get some Vancouver fans on this because I do want to know. Like, mind you, like they're mercurial as well, and then there's some on that and Vancouver fan base that are cool, and then there's others that I want
to.
Yeah. So you know. But yeah, Toffoli, man, he deserves credit. Like so go on.
And I think Suzuki's been really good. Like I think if he catches fire, like that's a dangerous line. Like that line can score goals. So I think that's the only line that really worries me offensively. I think if we want to hard match them, I know we'll get to it when we talk about the Leafs lines, but I think that the Leafs have clearly gone with having a shutdown line. I'm not sure how long that'll last, especially against this team that doesn't have any kind of like elite firepower. I think they've got a really good line in Suzuki, Toffoli, and Armia, but it's not like there's a world beater on there, right? So I think that that's probably their most offensively dangerous line. And then they've got Perry, Stahl, Anderson. So they're going with it's very clear what their intention is with that line, right? Like they're going to try to get physical and try to get in the crease, try to get in Muzzin's kitchen. I know Muzzin and Anderson, I think, is going to be a good battle during this series. I'll take Muzzin over Anderson any day.
But... I mean, do you remember what Hutton did to Anderson? It was Hutton who.
It was Hutton. Yep, it was Hutton. Yeah. So for sure.
And Anderson goes down like when my 10-month-old breathes, like Anderson goes down. So like I mean. Realistically, for all that bluster, like but I do get like I mean Perry shows up in the playoffs. He's annoying as shit.
Yeah,
I mean he's so annoying, and his style works in the playoffs because no one calls anything. Yeah, right. So
I think those two concern me. I think Anderson and Perry concern me. Stall's
fallen off,
non-existent. So that doesn't scare me at all. I think again when we go through the Leafs lines,
but that's a fourth line. At best.
Oh, at best. I think
not a third line.
I think our fourth line is better than that third line. In my opinion, I would take our vets over these three. Right?
And who is on their fourth line?
Their fourth line is Paul Byron, Evans, and Lehkonen. So again, nothing like so from Habs fans, what I've heard is that that's a very good defensive line. They might be really good defensively against Ottawa or whoever else these guys play, but I don't see any of those three players being able to kind of match with our top two lines.
I mean, hey, it might be a really good defensive line, but you're not throwing them out against the top two Toronto lines, so it's a moot point.
Yeah, and if you do try to, if that's your intention with putting that line together, like thank you very much, I'll take that.
Yeah, like you are absolutely fucked, right? Yeah. So
it's go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I'm just saying my biggest surprise with the Habs was Kotkaniemi.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was ready to break out and like
100%. All their extras are Caulfield, Kotkaniemi, and Frolik, right? So like two of those three players are players that have over the past couple of years when they're on the ice concerned me, right? Like And that's what I think, that's where, when the point you made about like Babcock Light, I think that's exactly what's happening here, right? Like, how many times did we have players that were actually dangerous just get healthy scratched? Like, I think of Josh Levo, I think of Jason Spezza.
Yeah,
Last year. Like, how many times did we have players that were like, even Travis Dermott at a point, like we had players that could
Justin
make
Hall.
an impact. Justin Hall, I mean, obviously that's an obvious one, but again, like those are all players that can make an impact, that were healthy scratch for guys that literally could not play hockey, right? Like we had Ozhiganov play like way too many games, right? Zaitsev play in a role that he shouldn't have played in. I can't even remember some of the forwards because they were that useless,
Yeah.
that took the place of guys like Josh Levo. So it's that same thing. And then the thing that Babcock did so much was just like not give Austin and Mitch and Willie and these guys enough ice time, right? And I think
Yeah, he tried to play 4 lines like
yeah,
equal minutes. It was
exactly.
ridiculous.
And so like that's kind of what I see here as well. Like Kotkaniemi and Caulfield are two players that when I see them on the ice or when they have the puck, as an opposing fan, caused me to be like, sit up and be like, oh, we got to play, right? Like we got to make sure we keep an eye on these guys, that we play these guys tight. Like, whereas like who other than that second line puts that thought in my mind? Nobody in this entire line.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like I understand benching Kotkaniemi now. Like he has struggled, right? It's just I just find it mind blowing that like because coming into the season, I thought like the kid had it, right? Like him and Suzuki were
Especially in the
going to
bubble last
show.
year, they're unreal.
Yeah, I'm like him and Suzuki are gonna come to play, and like maybe the Habs finally have some skill, and I'm just gonna be annoying to hear all the shit from the Habs fans. It was honestly what I was thinking. I was like, okay, I'm not going to enjoy hearing about this kid, right? And then he fell off, and I was like, what happened? And I was even talking to a buddy of mine who is a Habs fan. Questioned my friendship with him, but he was telling me like he is his grandparents are big fans. He has a reason to be a Habs fan, so I'm like, all right, cool, I'll take it. But he was saying how it's the fan base actually just destroyed the kid's confidence.
Yeah.
This kind of the same way, like in his opinion, like the whole Drouin thing.
That's what I was thinking about right now too, right?
Whereas like it's just like it's that. I mean, Toronto media pressure is up there, and Montreal is no easier, right? 100%. And so I'm like, I mean, hey, like I hate the Habs and I love to see them like suffer. So
yeah,
I'll be honest about it. But on an individual basis, I don't want to see like talent like that kid not like succeed. Like I mean, that sucks, right? So like it's kind of shocking to see that he scratched this early in his career. I mean, when he should be like getting into his peak year. Well, not peak yet. He's not even approaching his prime years yet. So like I don't want to see the kid destroyed before he even gets there.
Yeah, I think that like maybe Ducharme's thought process is like he needs to be in a top 6 role to succeed, and he doesn't want to move anyone out of his top 6. But my thought is you've got to, if you got talent like that, and Caulfield as well, I think the same thing goes for him. He got a half a point a game in the games he played, right? Like he's got a great shot. If maybe he doesn't think he's ready for playoff hockey, I'm not sure what his thought process is. But what I'll say is, as a Leafs fan, I am very happy that
I mean, I get they're all defendable, right? Like, like on its own, you can defend it. The problem is, when you look at it as a whole, you can't. You just took all your game breakers out.
Yeah.
Not all, but you took a bunch of game breakers out. Your speed, and you replaced them with. Is Romanov playing, or is he trash?
An extra 2. We'll get to the defenders in a second.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, let's get to the defenders because that blows my mind.
Yeah. So they've got Edmondson Petrie on their first pairing, Merrill Weber on their second, which is shocking. I don't know why they're playing Merrill on their second pairing. It's been awful for them. And then Kulak.
Yeah, because Weber's like an all-star right now, right?
Yeah. So I can see us exposing all 3 of these pairings. Like
the thing is though, with Weber gets away with things the way Chara does.
Yeah.
Like Weber can do no wrong to the refs. Like Weber can take a stick, shove it up your nostril,
pull it out already this season and didn't get called, right? Like it happened during the regular season where he was all over.
He can reach down through your eye sockets, grab your spine and pull it up. And the refs would be like, I didn't see anything wrong there.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think they're going to play physical. They're going to try to get really aggressive. I I think the thing for me though is I think that our guys can handle it, right? Whereas I think a couple years ago, our young guys maybe were intimidated by that physical presence. I don't think they will be anymore. Like these are big, strong guys now. I don't think Matthew's going to get pushed around. I think they're going to try to match Weber with Austin, with that Austin line. I don't think it's going to be very effective.
I think like, I mean, we'll get to it, but I think, you know, one guy that's going to really help kind of equalize a lot of this is Foligno.
Yeah.
All that, for all the Taylor Hall talk, like Foligno is gonna, he's kind of showed that edginess in like the last few games when he came back. I think he's gonna show him what playoff hockey is like. Montreal is gonna be really, is in for a rude awakening if they think no one's really stepping back up, right? Obviously, Wayne Simmons is out there and he can do Simmons stuff, right? But what a thing that, and I'm not sure this is shared across all Habs fans, but I have heard from some Habs fans, and I agree. I'm actually kind of glad Weber's back because that means we know what's happening on the power play.
Yep.
Right? It's no movement and it's going straight to Weber for a slap, right? Like they can prep for that, right? Their power play was actually better when Weber wasn't there because there was way more movement and they were dynamic. But when Weber's there, it's just straight to Weber. And so I'm kind of glad he's back because our special teams, I mean, our power play has been ass, right? I mean, the one good thing about the playoffs is that, well, if no one's getting penalties in power plays, well, I guess our lack of power play goals is not really going to hurt us, and we're great at 5-on-5. So so the Weber coming back, I think that's one point for us actually there, and then of course that what's the final pairing? The last two?
Kulak and Sherrod. So Weber coming back pushed Romanov out of that top six, right?
That's ridiculous.
And to me, that's like, dude, again, like you said, it's taking all of your game-breaking, not again, like you said, not all, but a lot of your game-breaking young talent out of the lineup. And you see the same, like I would say what Habs fans are trying to do is compare Romanov to Sandin, right? And I think that you see the difference in coaches where Sandin is like being given a very prominent role on the team. Like, yes, he plays third pairing, but he's also playing on the first power play unit, right? First power play unit, first 5-on-3 unit. Like he's been given that ability because I think that that's the difference between a coach like Keefe and a coach like Babcock or Ducharme, right? Where, you know, like Sandin, this isn't even, he still didn't play the full season this year, but he's shown that he's the best guy for the job. And so even taking a guy like Riley, who is a veteran on this team, despite him not being, old by any means, you're moving Riley off that first pairing. I think you should probably move Riley off both power play units, if I'm being honest. But
not going to do that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I think that like putting Sandin on that first power play unit really shows the trust that Keefe has in him and is giving the kid an opportunity to succeed, right? Whereas I think the way a lot of old school coaches and maybe even and Habs fans, if they are listening to this, I don't know why they would be, but if they are listening to this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Ducharme really approaches young players with that old school mentality of, we have to protect them. We have to make sure that they aren't in positions where they can be exposed. And I think that you can only do that to a certain extent. Like you've got to do it, but you can't do it to the detriment of the player. And I think that, Keefe has done a really good job with Sandin and making sure that he's allowed him to be in positions to succeed. Like he's playing on the third pairing with a guy like, Bogo during the playoffs. And even when he played with Dermott, those two looked really good together for the most part. They had a couple of off games, but for the most part, they looked pretty good. So he's giving him an opportunity to succeed, and it's only going to reward him in the long run because Sandin's a special player, and we'll get to that.
So I just got one interruption. So Winnipeg just put an empty netter in with 1:47 to go. I mean, Winnipeg's great at empty netters. That's where Shifley and half that team gets their points. But anyhow, it's crazy that this game has not been exciting. But wow. Anyhow, the Romanov things.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. I don't understand it. And I thought they actually held him in more better regard than we hold Sandy.
Yeah, I
Do you
thought
do you know what I'm
at
saying?
the
Like
start of the season. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought they'd like to them like Romanoff. My
Like
God,
ready.
Winnipeg just scored another
Okay.
empty netter. Like this is just ridiculous. But I would love to be watching Oilers Twitter right now.
Oh man.
But like so basically, I thought Romanoff to them was more important than Sandin was to us, and
Yeah.
to bench him now is blowing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Those pairings leave a lot to be desired. I don't fear any of them. Like I don't look at any of those pairings. Like Petrie, I think has had a great season, and I think offensively he'll be solid.
Yeah,
Um,
Petrie and Edmondson,
yeah.
they'll do their thing.
But they're also no like shutdown pair, right? Like I'm not looking
No,
at Edmondson and being like, oh man, like our first line's gonna have a real tough time against these guys, right? No pairing on that team scares me. I don't worry about any of those pairings being able to shut us down. They might get away with some stuff, but I think our team finally is ready to handle that. So
yeah. I mean, the other thing is like, I mean, you always have to. You also always have to account to lose a player per round,
yeah,
and this is like one of the first Leafs team that has the depth to handle that kind of loss.
100%. Yeah. And then
But speaking on that, let's run through the Leafs.
yeah, just quickly before we go on the Leafs, Price is starting. Allen is backing up. We talked about Price already and his ability to. If he goes back to prime carry Price, this is a series. If he,
I mean, if it goes back to prime carry price can beat anyone.
yeah, he can
Well,
win
fuck
series.
me, right?
He can win series for sure. So,
Yeah.
like, I think that if we see him in game one stand on his head, that gives us reason to be concerned. Like that to me is the X factor for the Habs. If Price plays like prime carry Price, this is a series. If he shows to be anything that he has been in the past year and maybe 2 years outside of the bubble, because he was amazing in the bubble last season, but outside of the bubble, even last season, if he's anything close to that, then I'm not concerned in the slightest.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Leaf lines, Hyman, Matthews, Marner, pretty standard. One of the best lines in hockey, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then we've got Foligno, Tavares, Nylander. I'm really excited to see how Foligno's going to fit in on that line in the playoffs.
So that's my question. So last few games he did play on the Tavares line. Didn't seem to fit the way he fit with the Matthews line. Whereas Hyman has shown that he could literally play 1 through 4 line and not skip a beat. I mean, we're now nitpicking, but would you have flipped that?
I see what Keefe is trying to do. I think that by putting on the first line, you have a first line that literally knows each other so well, and they're probably the line that's going to get the hardest matchups, right? So
yeah,
thankfully, on that line is probably like, yes, he's worked with them, but I can see why Keefe would go with Hyman just because that line's going to get the hardest matchups. You want to make sure that they're going up a game that they know how to read each other, how to play with each other, right? So I can see why he went with that one. I am okay with it, and I think the thing about Keefe that gives me confidence is if it's not working, he'll change things, right? And he'll change things in game. So we've got Foligno, Tavares, Nylander on the second line. And then Mikheyev, Nash, Kirk.
Can we just pause for 1 second and just anytime, like I just want to say, like if the Habs decide to hard match,
yeah,
do you understand for any team, like, and then this does apply for like the Colorados of the world, the Tampa's, but it's crazy the talent, right? But if you hard match Austin Matthews and Marner, literally the next guy over is Tavares and Nylander. That is nuts. Like it's not like you're dealing with. It's crazy to me. I don't know. Like I mean, like why even bother? Like they're treating Tavares like he's someone else. Dude, since he got into the league, is one of the top goal scorers.
Yep.
He's still a point per game player with us.
Oh, we had so many people in this fan base, and I've got receipts, so I'm gonna wait till the end of the season. But there were so many people in this fan base ready to count this guy out, and it comes out that he wasn't even playing with his own stick for the first half of the season. He was playing with Pierre Engvall's sticks because like his sticks weren't able to get to him on time. As soon as he made the change, as soon as he got his sticks back, or he changed the flex or something.
He changed the flex and he changed it to mimic someone else's or something like that.
He's been unreal, right? So like to all the people that thought this guy fell off, that he was done, that this was his last season in the top 6, like just get out. I don't even have words for you. I've got receipts though, so just wait till the end of the season.
No, that's good, man. I never understood the hate that he got. I'm like the first true proper free agent we've had in a while.
100%. And probably the best one. And I think him and Brody are probably top two in terms of best free agent signings we've had in the last decade.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think our top six is scary. I think the fact that they come out like one after the other is just petrifying for other teams, but it gets me excited and makes me feel so lucky as a Leafs fan that we have two
Yeah,
lines that are just unreal, right?
like I remember a time where Sundin had
Panik
like
Rossi and Antropov, dude.
there was worse. There's points where it was Hoagland and Renberg. Like, dude, like
Yeah.
Sundin's carried some dead weight.
Yeah.
I
He carried an entire lineup, man. I can't like. That's why I think for me, looking back historically, like that was the player that got me into hockey. So I think that I always have a special place for Sundin in my heart. But we can have that conversation about who
Yeah.
the best Leaf is of all
Yeah.
time.
Makes me sad.
No, it's a good conversation to have. I think Matthews is obviously the most talented and has a lot of time left to take over that space. But
Oh, yeah, it's
he,
his.
you know,
I mean, it's his. If he wants it, it's his. Now the third line. This is
third
where
line,
I ask
this is where things get interesting. So we've got Nash, Kerfoot, and Mikheyev. My thought is, and I'll let you kind of share what you're thinking. My thought is, I get the purpose of this line. We need a shutdown line. We've never had one, right? So putting Nash out there, Nash has been a great shutdown center for a long time in this league. He played that role with Boston. He played that role with Columbus. The year that they shut Tampa down and beat them 4-0, he played a huge role in shutting their best players down, right? He's a very good no event, like very low event guy. So you put him on the ice and not very many things happen, which is a good thing when you're putting him up against players on the other team, right? So I get the idea of this line. And so my initial thought was, why are we doing this against Montreal, who doesn't really have a line that you really need a shutdown line against? So that was my initial thought. And then where I kind of ended up after thinking about it a little bit is Nash hasn't played. And I think that what Keefe is trying to do is establish this shutdown line against a team before we really need it, right? Because if you go for an offensive third line, or if you don't put Nash in the lineup and you don't know what you have, trying to create a shutdown line on the fly against a really good opponent like Edmonton or Winnipeg or Colorado or whoever it might be, then you're in trouble if it doesn't work, right? So I think against Montreal, it makes sense. You're trying to give Nash some time to get into the lineup. I know a lot of people are upset about the fact that Nash is in the lineup over a guy like Galchenyuk. To me, though, I kind of see where Keefe is going with it. I didn't understand it at first either, but the more I think about it, the more I think it makes sense. If we want to have a shutdown line, we've got to establish it now, because we weren't able to do it in the regular season because we didn't have the players for it, right? But if we got Nash, Kerfoot, and Mikheyev out there and they work as a shutdown line, that would be huge for us, right? Because you put them out there against the best lines. The closest thing we had to it was when Hyman, Mikheyev, and Engvall were playing together against Edmonton, right? They went up against the McDavid line and kind of played them off the ice pretty much, right? Like
which is crazy to be honest.
Which was insane, and just it made us look even more dominant, because then you've got Matthews going up against their second line and Tavares going up against their third line, which it just gives you such a good matchup. So I think that I get why Keefe is doing it, because we've never been able to have a sustained shutdown line. So I'm for it. I get it. It took a little bit of kind of reflection, but I think it makes sense to me. So I'm happy for him to roll with it and see what happens. If it doesn't work, again, this is not Babcock where he's going to be like, I'm sticking with this no matter what happens, right? So I get it from his perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I get it. Like Galchenyuk was doing some damage, especially with Tavares and Nylander. Like you have to reward that type of effort, and like it kind of sucks to see that not happen. And we'll get lower down the lineup, and realistically, if it weren't for the last maybe 15 games, like I would have been furious that Joe Thornton got in, and like Galchenyuk didn't. But Thornton Jumbo also turned it the fuck around at the end, right? So like he got that line kind of clicks, but we'll get to that. I think I'm with you, right? So like I think the thought process is you try Nash out. He needs to get a few games in. He can't be on a shutdown line when they need to shut someone down. and be doing it for the first time. So
Yeah.
why not just practice him on a normal line
Yep.
and see if they can do something about it? Because worst case scenario, pull Nash back out, and
Yep.
you have Engvall to replace that
Yep.
guy, and like
Yep.
that line works exactly as it worked in the past, right?
Yep.
And if there's another injury anywhere in the lineup, Galchenyuk comes in.
Yep.
So like, I get it. It's a problem we've never had, right? Like
Yeah.
where we have to argue about players being too good to scratch.
Yeah.
And again, that's absolutely amazing to me. I still was kind of confused about the Nash thing at first. I guess short memory, like I didn't really remember how he affected us in Columbus. He did. I didn't really remember all his other stints in the playoffs with like various teams, but he's done some good things. I think we're going to be surprised. It's just because we didn't get to see him this year, right? And to see someone to play for the first time in the playoffs, is a little weird. But
it's scary too, right? And I get that. I think the thing with Galchenyuk is he worked so hard, and I think that the thing is like it really made a lot of people like love the player and what he brought to the team and everything that he was able to provide. So I think that with that in mind, I think that a lot of people are more emotional about it. So I get it, and I think that
we're as a Leaf bunch, we're actually very level-headed people. We're not emotional at all. So this is a very new thing for us.
Yeah.
Fuck. Fuck. The takes that we honestly, there's some hills that some of us have to die on. That oh man, it gets bad. But yeah, I get that line. So that fourth line now.
Yep, and then Thornton, Spezza, Simmons. So I think that's a solid like old man line, right? They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They know how they got to play to be effective and bring a lot of character and stuff. So I think we've got a really dynamic forward group for the first time in a long time and a lot of depth, right? Which is what you talked about. So we'll quickly rattle off the defenders. So we've got Riley, Brody, Muzzin Hall, Sandine, Bogosian, which I'm really happy with. No concerns for me. I don't see a lot of gaps.
As long as Marinson doesn't get in, I'm
on that fourth pair, man. Marinson Dermott is
as long as Dermott's the next guy in, like I'm okay. Like fuck man. Fucking Martin. He's unkillable. Dude he's immortal.
Never gonna go away. Immortal for sure.
He's literally unkillable. It'll be the year will be 2040 and he'll still be the 8th defenseman on this team.
All right, and then we've got Campbell starting. I think that's pretty obvious. He's been on.
Well, apparently it wasn't to some people, but
yeah, but it makes sense to those of us that have been watching this team. So I think Campbell's a starter, and I think that a point you made earlier that I think I'm going to stick with too is until he has 2 bad games in a row, I'm not taking him out of the lineup. Right? If he has a stinker in game 1, I still don't go with Freddie until he's done bad 2 games.
Because it does 2 things, right? It could kill his confidence, right? It's not my real job. It's more of a either like we're sharing this or like I've lost the job again.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Freddie comes in, and again, like I hate harping on this, but playoff Freddie isn't like he lets in soft goals.
Yeah.
He's great on the medium and the high percentage shots, but he actually lets in muffins, right? And so like he'll let in 2 of those, it'll break the team. The team seems to not play great defense in front of him, but it seems more to be connected to a confidence thing. And so then what do you do then? You've broken the confidence of your true number 1, and you brought in the guy who breaks the team's confidence. And now all of Leaf Nation will be spiraling out of control, right? And we'll be in 2 factions. Like one will be Freddie all the way, one will be Campbell, and then one will be like, yo, just bring in Hutchinson. Fuck it. Let the world burn.
Yeah. So, I'm with you. I think we go with him. We got to go with Campbell as our guy. So that's.
I think we win or lose. I think we just have to ride Campbell.
Yeah, ride Campbell for sure. All right. So that's both lines. I think that I'm pretty confident. I think we can kind of go with. Maybe just do quick predictions. I'm going to go with Leafs in 5. I'm not scared of Montreal at all. I think they'll steal a game here or there, but all
right. Well, I kind of want to say that too. So, what game do you think they'll steal?
I think they steal game 2. I think they take that one, and then I think we win both in Montreal and then finish it off in game 5 at home. That's my thought.
I mean, I was going like in 5 and thinking they steal they actually take game 4,
Yeah.
like the second of the back-to-backs in Montreal, and then we come back and finish them.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just to piss people off, just call a Leaf sweep. Fuck it, right? Like,
Yeah. No,
I mean, hey, like honestly speaking, deep down, like I am so petrified.
yeah,
Like I am going to be like
yeah.
in the corner
Until we win, I
in
think we're
fetal position. 100%. Even then, like I'm not gonna fully believe it. Like I'm gonna be in fetal position in the corner, probably drinking some whiskey and just muttering some stuff. But hey, I'll have to collect myself for. Apparently now we're doing post game reactions, and
yeah.
so now I'm gonna have to compose myself and get back on in front of a camera after looking like a crazy person. But
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing that I guess that's our preview of the series. We've kind of both given our predictions. So starting tomorrow, I guess what we're going to be doing is kind of hopping on here after the game and getting some post game thoughts from some of you guys. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm confident about tomorrow. I'm excited for the game. So any final thoughts?
To all 3 of you that made it to this video, thank you. Thank you, my son, because I know you can't do anything other than watch the screen I put in front of you, and you don't know words yet. And yeah, so let's do this. Go Leafs, go!
Awesome. Let's go. All right. Have a good one, man.